Hi everyone and welcome back. Today we're going to do a drawing inspired by an artist named Lee Krasner. Before we start drawing, take a moment to gather whatever materials you have around. You can use anything at all: markers, crayons, watercolor, colored pencils, oil pastels, anything works. Today I'm using acrylic pens. Remember, this sketchbook page is just for you. It's not a place for judgment. It's more like a playground for ideas. If something doesn't go how you planned, that is part of the process. Lee Krasner was an artist who believed mistakes could turn into something new. And we're going to keep that in mind today while we draw. I am using her painting. It is called Free Space Pink. This was actually a screen print with collage. You'll notice if you look up her paintings and artworks, the links below in the description, that she had a lot of prints with this same design on it in different colors. So I took the colors I could most closely resemble to hers and did some color swatches here, taped everything off with washi tape. You could also use painter's tape. These I'm using to get a clean border and block off those areas. Also, these have less likelihood to tear the paper. You could leave them on, or what I'll end up doing is taking them off at the end. And right now I'm just using the colors from that painting to make just a random design. And again, we're encouraging you to do whatever comes to mind. I just like these kind of bubbly shapes. So let's begin by making shapes on our page. You can start anywhere on the page you like. This is how I've set it up. Feel free to copy me line by line or choose your own adventure. Lee Krasner made a lot of artwork that didn't show specific objects, like trees or houses or people. Instead, her paintings showed movement and energy. This type of art is often called abstract art. Have you heard of this word before? I bet you have. Abstract art doesn't have to look like something real. It can simply show motion, emotion, color, rhythm, things like that. So as you draw, imagine your shapes are growing or like flowing across the page. Just give it some freedom. Here's something interesting about Lee Krasner, and I'll just sprinkle in facts about her throughout this video. So she actually changed her style many times during her life. Some artists find one way of making art and stick with it forever. But Krasner liked to experiment. She tried painting, collage, drawing. So if your drawing today starts to change directions, that's very much in the spirit of Lee Krasner. Artists are allowed to change their minds. So I'm just going to put in this last color. Did you stick to the same colors as me? If not, what colors are you using and how are you liking that? What kind of shapes are you deciding to draw? You can repeat shapes or make all different shapes. Some areas are going to be darker or lighter. Repetition is something Lee used a lot in her artworks. Your page might start feeling busy, energetic, chaotic. That's okay. I do want to add a little bit of texture in just to see how these colors interact with each other. I love a pink and green color combo. Why? This feels fun. You have a favorite color combo? I think there's so many to choose from. So here's a really interesting thing Lee Krasner sometimes did. If she didn't like a painting she had made, she didn't always throw it away. Instead, she cut the painting into pieces. Then she rearranged those pieces and glued them into a brand new artwork called a collage. So something she thought was a mistake became part of a completely new piece of art. That's a really good reminder that mistakes can turn into ideas. And that's something we like to encourage here. If you make a mistake, just go with it and see if you can work around it or emphasize it or just be okay with it. It's going to do a very loose interpretation of her print that we talked about. I'll frame in those shapes, and once they're framed in, start coloring them in. That's how I like to work in big swaths, big areas. See what's next with Lee. Right. Another fact about Lee Krasner, she was born in Brooklyn, New York in 1908. So if you think 2008 was a long time ago, 1908 is 100 years earlier. Her parents were immigrants who had come from Russia. When she was about 14 years old, she decided she wanted to become an artist, and she worked very hard to study art in school. So even when she was a kid, she already loved making art, drawing, painting. It is, in my opinion, the most wonderful way to express yourself. You can document memories, you can explore emotions. There's so many things you can do with art. I like these bizarre shapes that are in her artwork. Another fact about Lee Krasner, when she was older, she broke her right wrist, which made it really hard for her to paint. But instead of stopping, she taught herself to paint with her left hand. Some of her paintings made this way are full of energy and quite large. It's a good reminder that artists are often good at adapting when things change. I'm going to add some of this light pink in here. This seems like a lot of kind of complicated details that I don't fully know where to begin. So it is a little overwhelming to think about, how am I going to complete this? How am I going to figure out all these details? But one thing that really helps me is breaking it down into one step at a time. And that kind of helps me throughout life with a lot of different things. If it looks overwhelming, just break it down and see if you can simplify the steps. So I'm just taking one segment at a time. And it's definitely not perfect. It is not a direct copy of her art. And I'm noticing as I'm going through that I kind of made some mistakes with the shapes, and like, oh, that was kind of thinner over here and wider over here and things like that. But this is just taking inspiration from her artwork. That's kind of the point of these drawings, is we're not trying to copy anything directly. We're just taking inspiration and seeing what comes up. So it's no pressure, because pressure is no fun. Okay, I'm going to add in pink. Fill in the gaps. How are you feeling about your drawing or painting today? I would love to know what your experience is. Did you make a really big glaring mistake? Did you paint over it? Did you go with it? How did it make you feel? Sometimes I'll be working on a drawing for such a long time. I feel like I've put so much time and energy into this, and I want it to work out a certain way. And when you make a mistake after all of that invested time and energy, it can feel super frustrating. But what would happen if you take it as kind of a sign that something else is supposed to happen on that page that you hadn't really planned for? And like, go with it, see what happens. I've talked before about just leaving your mistake where it is, letting it sit there and glare back at you, and maybe even engaging with it. Emphasize it. Make it look purposeful. Incorporate it into your art. Maybe repeat that mistake all over your painting. What are you going to do with that? kind of a fun game to play. How can you make it a part of your drawing? How can you make it feel like it belongs there, like you had planned it the whole time? And maybe it never quite fits, and that's okay too. We're getting into some kind of tedious details here, but we're almost done. And I've got some articles linked in the description so you can see more of Lee Krasner's artworks and learn a bit more about her life. She was married to Jackson Pollock as well. She was, so she was born in 1908 to Russian Jewish immigrants. And during the 1930s, Krasner worked for the WPA, the Work Progress Administration Federal Art Project. Her job involved helping enlarge designs for huge public murals. Many famous artists started their careers through that program. All right, last touches. We're going to get real loosey-goosey here. Because we got to get a little movement, right? And we're done. I'm going to remove this tape, see what happens. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Tell me if there's a female artist you want to look at for this month, because this month is Women's History Month. Thank you so much, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye.